Peter Jenkins, David Satchel, Martha Jones, Tab Calloway, Andy Davis, Peter Brown, Jimmy Johnson, Peter Brown. Who the hell is John Galt? Bay Sue Andrews. By the way, get my 6. Regina Andrews. And watch where I'm going. Maybe we should do this old school style, crazy lake style. Freedom-loving patriot girl, guns a-blazing 76? Who would name their kids such a thing? Okay. Listen, guys and girls, I got some really good stories for you here. If I can keep from getting... I thought it was a Bigfoot Sasquatch jumping out to get me, but it's just a briar. Let's go up here. See what we may or may not see. Listen for what we may or may not hear as we enter the potential Bigfoot Sasquatch forest up here at the end of the trail, and read a couple of really good stories. So let me explain to you what's going on with the title of the video and all these names. Man, so I got this new channel administrator, right? Erie. And no, that's not her real name. But isn't it cool because it rhymes with Siri, but it's spooky? Man, she's like going nuts. I mean, she's quite a bulldog. Those of you who have been paying attention have probably noticed she doesn't just ban vertically challenged individuals who live under bridges and then go on with life. She calls them out, challenges them, pins their comments, and then invites you guys in to harass them along with her. Let's get in the woods. Well, I guess it's effective. I guess she knows what she's doing because she administrates several channels, not just mine. But, so it's been a few days since I've made a video, as you can tell, because from her taking over, make sure we're not going to walk in on top of something here waiting on us. Let's do a little scanning here. From her taking over has allowed me the time to do some really neat things that I like to do. Otherwise, you know, somebody, and this is not going to happen. I'm going to tell you what she wants to do. I'm going to tell you why it's not going to happen. Somebody recommended in the comments the other day. Did you see that? Yep, that's why. Watch. I saw it. I saw it too. Keep your eyes on it in that same location. See if it moves again. No, I can't look back there. You know my strategies. There's the crows. They come with the crows. I think we're onto something. Shoot, we might just have to set up here for a while. All right, so somebody recommended that I go hiking with my family, just my family, leave the camera at home. Well, I've done that. Like, we've done that like 3 or 4 days this week. It's been wonderful. And so I'm getting to spend more time with my family, more time in the wood shop. Look at this. Well, I pretty much washed it all off. I've got paint all over me. Check out what I made today. Nice, huh? Right in this area. Yeah, I've got 5 sets of those in our Etsy store. The link is in the description box below. Just click where it says more ... under the video. So I had a conference call with Etsy not Etsy, but Erie this morning. So we had this planned out since yesterday. She said, we're gonna talk at this time. I'm gonna send you a couple of emails. So we get on the phone. She goes, okay, go to your email. I open the first email, and I'm like, what's that? And she says, those are stories that I have actually taken the time to edit so that you can go up there in the woods and actually tell them the way that they deserve to be told. She said the viewers are submitting a lot of really cool stories. I've gone in and, you know, corrected punctuation, spelling, all this stuff, sentence structure. And so now you can go out and tell them in the woods, and they're going to flow better, and they're going to be told in such a way that they deserve to be told, because these are really cool stories, and we're going to get to them in a minute. I'm like, wow, great, Erie. Thanks. I actually called her a real name. And I'm like, so what's the second email? She goes, open it up. So I open it up, and here's like this list of all these names. I'm like, hey, I know these people. I see them commenting all the time. I'm like, what's this for? She goes, these are the people we're going to ban. And I'm like, what? Listen, multiple reasons and that I think are crazy, and I finally reeled her in. Like I said, she's a bulldog. She's going after the vertically challenged individuals who live under bridges. But the folks who are supportive are not those people. And I've told her, no, we're not. So she wanted me to address some concerns. And so I will, okay? She said to me, do you have any clue how many people are emailing, giving you their phone numbers, asking you to call them, giving you their addresses and inviting you over to dinner or to visit them, offering just all kinds of stuff. And I was like, no, because she is handling the email side of everything now too. And she's taken over our Etsy communications. I'm going to tell you that why here in a minute. I'm like, no. And she goes, well, too many. She goes, she says, you and your wife, which is very limited on this channel, and our son pretty much isn't even on here anymore. And this is kind of one of the reasons why. She goes, you guys are social media personalities. A lot of folks are maybe being drawn in a little more than they should be, and we need to get rid of them. And I said, no, absolutely not. And I said, Erie, I have kind of come to feel like I know some of these folks personally to a degree from comments they've left in the channel. So I totally get people who watch any YouTube content creator, especially who, listen, we don't act. We've never taken any classes on how to come across in a likable, genuine way. We just are. And so it makes sense to where a lot of folks, as she said, have mentioned in the emails that they feel like they know us. How can you not? Especially if you've been watching the show for years. We've been on here since 2018 consistently for the last 4 years. You probably do feel like you know us. I get that. At the same time, I get her concern. And so I will just stay here and now. My wife, my family, myself, we are not going to call anybody. We're not going to come visit anybody. Nobody is welcome here unless we invite you personally, which if we don't know you, it's not going to happen. And I've talked about that before because we have had people show up. And we learned a few years ago not to announce where we were going, where we were going to be, because people would be waiting on us. Now, we run into people all the time, especially down in town, who watch the show, and every now and then they'll come up and they'll say, hey, I watch you on YouTube. I like your channel. We do not have a problem with that because we know those people aren't out looking for us. They just happen to be where we are. And you know, there's 80,000 people in our county, and I guess a lot of local people watch us. We've never had a problem with that. So I told Erie, back off. We're not banning these people. Get rid of this list. And so, listen, you're not going to get responses from those emails. She is a business person, not so much full-time anymore, but she understands time management, and she's not going to go through and answer those messages to tell you basically what I've just told you. So continue to submit your stories if you would like. And again, let us know if you want us to use your name or if you want to remain anonymous. But man, I had to reel her in. So, and by the way, if you're one of the people that was just described, if you've sent one of those messages, do not be embarrassed at all. This is not about embarrassing you. And the word she used for this was dozens. She says dozens. So you're not the Lone Ranger. You're not the only one. Nobody's picking on you or anybody else. Okay? So now, with that said, did you see it? Did you see it leave? Did it go away? Well, let's go through here and tell some spooky stories. I got a few for you here from you folks, viewers like you, unless you are the actual viewer that sent it. And since Erie, now she mentioned to me when we talked that she's getting to these as she can. And these, the ones that came in, are more recent. So a lot of you, wow, here's a heck of a deer trail. At least it looks like a deer trail. Could be some other kind of trail. Potentially him, her, it, or they. So let's follow it. But I know there's a lot of folks that sent in stories maybe a couple of weeks ago. She says if it looks like it's requiring a lot of work for editing, those stories are just going to come later. So some of these are more recent, but she said they needed practically no editing whatsoever. So I'm going to get down here where I can set up stationarily, because it's hard to see if anything's coming or going behind us if I'm sitting here moving around or walking around. So let's stop right here and tell a story, and then maybe we'll go somewhere else, okay? Just keep watching back there. I'll try to hold my tripod with my foot. All right. Okay. This one, we decided to call this one Demon in the Closet. And we do have permission to use the sender's name. This was sent in to us by Pat Saletto. So Pat, thanks for your submission. Years ago, my son would regularly say that there was something in his closet. He said it was scary. He wanted to keep the light on in his bedroom, and he didn't want me to look in the closet. Being a mother, I looked in his closet anyway, and when I did, I saw nothing. I always left the light on like he'd asked, and after he would fall asleep, I would go back into his room and turn the light off. One night during this period, at about 1 o'clock a.m., my son woke up crying, and he came into my bedroom where my husband and I were sleeping. The creepy thing is in my closet, he said. I got out of bed and I went into his room and looked in the closet. I saw nothing, but for some reason I got a chill. My son would not go back to his own bed, and his younger brother was afraid now too, as he was claiming that he too had seen the creepy thing. Both boys asked if they could sleep with us. I said, let's go camp out in the living room, and we did. When my husband got up to go to work at 3:30 a.m., he complained that this was happening too many nights now, and I agreed. It didn't happen every night, but the rate at which it was happening was increasing. A few nights later, I put the boys to bed, but just before I turned off the lights, I faced the closet and commanded the thing, the demon or whatever it was, to come out of the closet and leave in Jesus' name. Kevin, I had the window open just a little, and we, as my boys heard this too, heard a creepy voice say, "Ye no," as it seemed to leave by way of the window. I continued to pray, and I asked God to send his angels to protect the boys. The next morning, I walked our property line and prayed. Since that night, there have been no more problems. My sons said they see very big men that are shiny. My sons both said they felt very safe and could sleep. I prayed but was reassured they were from God. You have my permission to use this story and my name. Thank you, and may God bless you and your family. Pat Saletto. Wow. So, sounds like a couple things going on there. Sounds like there was a freaking demon living in her kid's closet. And it sounds like, as she says, when she prayed upon the holy name of Jesus, demon got cast out. It's like the old story about the demons being cast out and taken up into the bodies of the pigs. You remember that one? So, folks, I'll tell you, this is why I kind of am really enjoying getting into this. This is something new we've been doing here on the channel just within the last couple of weeks. There are so many people that have had experiences like this, and I've said it before and I'll say it again now, that have nowhere else to go and talk about these things because people will tell them they're crazy. And sure, they make for good stories around a campfire, especially, on October nights, just saying. Big news about that coming up soon, since Erie, bulldog as she may be, has allowed me to have more time to take care of other things since I'm not administrating the channel. And the whole thing about the Etsy thing, before I opened the email for this channel, people used to message us on Etsy, just same stuff, like, hey, love your channel, which we already appreciate, or with the story. Well, we wouldn't reply because, listen, we just don't have time to do things that aren't required. And if it wasn't something pertaining to a sale, like, hey, didn't get my item, or hey, I got my item, but it's broken, can you replace it? We simply don't answer those questions, or we don't answer those messages. Well, I told Erie that as a result of that, like if you go to our Etsy store, I think we got like a 4.8 out of 5-star rating. That's not because our products are bad or because our customer service is, but our rating is actually lower on customer service because we don't answer all of our messages in a timely manner. That's simply because we don't answer all of our messages, because we wouldn't answer those messages, and that actually was hurting us on Etsy. So Erie's taken over that as well. Now listen, if you message on there, that's not the right place to message. Or if you happen to find my email somehow online, I mean, people, it's crazy. I'm not even going to give you, but listen, this channel, go to the About section, okay? That's where the email is located. You can submit your story, and Erie, once she's edited it, will get it to me, and we'll read it on the channel. She says a lot are really coming in, and we're probably not going to be able to read them all on the channel, but she's really talking about she and I co-editing a collection of these things and releasing them in book form so that we can get them all out there. So again, make sure you give us permission to use your story, and again, let us know if you want us to use your name or not. So if you message on Etsy or anywhere else, don't expect a reply, and don't respect whatever. I'm beating a dead horse. Let's get on with the stories, because that's why you're here. Erie titled this one, Ghost with Survivor's Guilt. Kevin, this didn't happen to me. It happened to my cousin up in Maine. She lived on an old orchard beach in a little farmhouse with her 3 girls at the time. The house they lived in was built on an older foundation because the original house had actually caught fire many years before. The father of the family who lived in the original house at the time that it burned was only able to save one of his sons. He went back inside to get his wife and other children, as well as his parents, who also lived with them, but the burning house fell in on him. All but the son, who'd already been rescued, perished in the fire. The son survived and was raised by his other set of grandparents. He graduated high school and got a job. He was working, but I think he had a lot of unresolved issues he was dealing with. As an adult, the surviving son was living in the old house, which his grandparents had bought and renovated. One night, he made the choice to take his own life. He shot himself in the living room area. I don't know what caused this. Survivor's guilt, maybe? Anyway, after my cousin Barbara, they're coming to get you, Barbara, moved in with her 3 girls, they would hear noises late at night sometimes. Once, one of her daughters had friends over, and they were making a lot of noise, and the young man's ghost started pounding on the wall, telling them to be quiet. Over time, he would do this often. One time, my cousin saw a young man walking across her front yard. It was, without doubt, the ghost of the young man who'd taken his own life in that house. The only one to survive that horrific house fire from all those years ago. My cousin got some sage to sage the house with, but it disappeared before she could do so. I have a couple of my own experiences in this creepy haunted house. When I visited there once, while I was sitting at the kitchen table, I looked out the back door window and I saw a black ribbon floating in the air. It was just there, and I thought, well, maybe a bird is building a nest there. Another time, a little bell attached to my purse I had at the time started jingling while I was sleeping in the living room on the couch. I heard it tingle a little bit, but that was the extent of my ghostly experience that night. My cousin and her girls no longer live there, as they have moved, but I certainly think that was a place that they will remember for the rest of their lives. The end. The person that sent that just had initials. They didn't give their name, didn't mention whether we could use it or not, and they didn't submit their name anyway. So if that's your story, feel free to comment in the comment section that that's yours, and we'll pin your comment, okay? I got one more for you here. I was asked not to use this person's name, and you'll understand why once we get to the end of it. And this is, again, another thing about this channel. People that have these experiences are not crazy. Many of the people who have had these experiences with the paranormal, the supernatural, within the spiritual realm, from the other side of the veil, with cryptids, UFOs, aliens, we've been hearing all kinds of stuff. Often are people who never believed in such things, didn't believe it was possible until it happened. I have reason to believe this next person falls into that category, and that's why they asked for their name not to be shared, and you're going to understand why here real soon. Let's get to it. Erie titled this one, Maybe They Should Have Gone to Church Earlier. Okay? Dear Mr. Lake, I love your channel. I have a few unusual happenings I would like to tell you about. I was raised in the Midwest on a farm. We had cows, hogs, chickens, guinea ducks, hunting dogs, and cats. I was in church all my life. I'm a Southern gospel pianist. No lessons, just a God-given gift. This is a true story that I am sharing. I was the minister of music at a particular church for 8 years. I wore other hats, carrying out many other responsibilities, and being in the position that I was in, I was privy to lots of situations concerning the church. I respected everyone's confidentiality and, if needed, at times, anonymity, and I did not discuss anyone else's business with other church members. People like you are hard to find, few and far between. During one Sunday morning service, while I was at the piano, I could see the whole congregation in front of me, as well as the front door. Just at the end of the song service, the front door opened and two very tall men with long black coats and stovepipe hats walked in. They looked as if they were from the 1920s. I found myself wondering, am I the only one that's seeing this? These two men? My heart almost jumped out of my chest as I watched these two men, who walked all the way from behind the back row of pews, up the outside aisle along the wall, and all the way to the podium. And then, poof, just like that, they evaporated into thin air. After service, I walked outside, and an older minister's wife took me aside, asking if I had seen what happened. I said I didn't know what happened. She proceeded to tell me that she had seen the same thing that I had seen. I found out later that years ago, the property the church sat on was once the location where local executions by way of hanging had taken place. When I found this out, the hair on the back of my neck stood up and my flesh there tingled. You may share this story, Mr. Lake, but please do not use my name. The end. All right, guys and girls, well, there you have it. 3 very totally awesome, totally creepy, totally true stories sent in by viewers like you. If you have a spooky story, whether it's short, if it's long, Erie and I talked, please, those stories were about 400 words. Long enough to get the point across, but short enough to where we could share several here in one video. So please try to keep them, around 400, 500 words. I said 1,000 words once, but that's kind of long. Because we want to get more in. What we can't get in, we're seriously leaning towards putting together in a collection and having it published, but we've got other books ahead of that first, such as October Nights Part 2, 31 more tales for the Halloween season. In the event you happen to see that somewhere, let me put this out there for you. We will have autographed print copies of that book in our Etsy store, which we will announce here on the channel when they are available. I've had people ask before in the comment section, and Erie's been getting some emails about this too, of folks who have gotten my books on Amazon or other places, and they wanted to know if they could mail them to me and me autograph them and mail them back. No, I'm sorry. I simply don't have time for that. So if you want an autographed copy when October Nights Part 2, 31 more tales for the Halloween season is available, hang tight. It's coming really soon. I know you're probably going to be tempted to get it elsewhere because it'll probably appear online somewhere quicker. Wait until we have them here for that. Thanks for being here. I'm afraid to move my foot because I think the phone might fall. Oh, there we go. All right. See you for more next time. Crazy Lake out.